All right. I don't know where our cameras are now, but they were here. Oh, there they are.
Oh,
Okay.
sick.
OBS is it do be weird like that. Hi everybody. We've got
Hey, everyone.
yeah, got a group of people.
Mhm.
Sorry, I was anticipating Arash not showing up, so it took me a minute to like readjust the cameras and everything. How is everybody doing this morning?
Mhm. Good morning.
Oh, you know what? I'm terribly lit right now. Here we go.
I'm I'm like matching into my background right now. I'm wearing a white shirt and everything. It's weird
Well,
that we're like opposite right now.
yeah.
You're wearing a black
It's
shirt, I'm
almost
wearing
like
a
we
white
did it
shirt.
intentionally, but we didn't.
No,
Uh,
no, not at
no, I
all.
had to rush to get in the shower because I realized I wasn't showered and ready for the day yet. May have to turn up my audio a little bit. There we go. I think that
Am I
should be
good?
better. Mine should be good now. Hi everybody. We saw Superman last night at two different
Hmm.
locations. If you couldn't
Yeah,
tell. Uh,
yeah,
and in two different formats.
yeah, entirely. Zach saw it in a much more interesting format than I
Oh,
did.
I didn't know I was getting the super interesting format when I was going into it too. I didn't realize until they scanned my ticket. I so initially I thought I bought IMAX tickets because they popped up on the website the day beforehand, and
Mhm.
that was the only one that they had there was the IMAX screening. So the next day I get the text when I wake up that's like the tickets are available. I go to buy them and go to the first link, try and buy them as fast as possible because I knew they were gonna sell out like within a couple
Quick.
hours.
Yeah.
And I bought them, and then I got the email that was like, "You've got the 3D tickets for the, and it's not the IMAX theater," and I was like, "Great, I have to see this movie in 3D and not in IMAX. Whatever, it's fine. I'll deal with it. I'll see a movie in 3D." I typically
Hmm.
the last time I did that was for Avatar 2, but
Yeah.
that was an IMAX 3D, so that was like the whole deal with that movie. But
It's made for it. Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, oh, all right, I'll see IMAX, and then I'm walking into the theater. They scan my ticket, and on the screen I see Superman 4DX Experience, and I was like, oh fuck.
Oh
I
no.
just wanted to watch a movie. I didn't want to go through an amusement park ride right now, which 4DX, if you're unaware, is the seats that move around, jolt, and they have like motors in it that kick your back. During certain part, there's something like a pressurized wind machine underneath your like behind your legs, so that shoots at you. There's wind coming from both of your. They shoot wind from the headrest. They spray water at you. There's a fog machine. There's fans in the room. There's whenever there's an explosion or like whenever he used his heat vision. There was like strobe lights that would go off in the theater, and I was like, okay, it was cool, but it was very distracting.
Yeah, it definitely because you're getting shaked in your seat and you can't really focus because everything else is happening and you're getting overstimulated during the theater.
Why does it?
So,
Oh my god! Our webcams have not been there the entire time.
oh crap. Oh man. All right. Now they can see us.
Nobody
Hi
said
guys.
that. Nobody said anything in the
Nobody.
chat.
Thanks guys. No, I'm kidding.
I was looking over it. I was like, is this like an old video or no? But yeah, the 4D experience it was cool, but it was very
Mhm.
distracting. I wish I could have watched the movie after the movie ended. I was telling our friends about it in our group chat, and our friend Ilkin said like, "Do you think that made you like the movie more?" And I was like, "No, I can kind of separate the experience between like having the motion and like all the extra things going on, but I found it overall distracting, and I think it negatively influenced my first impression of the movie because today I am extremely sore from being thrashed around for 2 hours. It made every time Superman gets punched in that movie, I felt it.
Oh, they literally punched you in the seat like a
In the
little
back
kick
of the
thing
seat they
happened?
were like it was
Uh,
like a massage gun was going off every time, and it would be like
oh.
specific parts of your back too while the seat is moving all over the place.
That'd be annoying, dude. I'm gonna be entirely weird. There's so much
You
punching
know
in the
what?
movie.
You know what? I would go see the movie like that again, but I
Hmm.
want to see it normally. I'm going to go see it normally. My
Yeah, just
fiance said she would go see it again because it
just
was it was just that good.
it is really, really good. Honestly, I'm debating like going seeing it again as well. Like, even though I already just saw it at a normal showing, by the way. So I saw it at a normal showing at the Alamo Draft House, and I enjoyed mine thoroughly. But I remember, I remember going to that kind of showing that you went to, Zach, during Scream 5, and I remember getting stabbed in the back during certain scenes.
So I
So
went to
I
go.
know.
I saw Sonic 2 that way also, and that was the Sonic 2, and then we when I first started dating my fiance, we went to go see Poltergeist, and it was set up
Mhm.
that way. They and it was like fine for both of those, but this one like they really kick your ass throughout the entire movie.
It, it's a novelty, but it's more distracting than anything else. That's why I only
Yeah.
did it once.
Well,
Yeah.
like
I
I wouldn't have done it as my first time seeing this movie, but you know what? It happened. I'll go see it again normally.
I I definitely want to try to go see it in IMAX now that I've actually seen it in normal aspect ratio, and also I haven't gone to the IMAX down here
You
yet,
know,
so
I
I'll
think
try it out.
the 40x screen didn't seem like it was in 16 by 9. It seemed like it had that extra IMAX aspect ratio almost.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's like a smaller screen, but I think it was kind of like that more square shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the little bit more. It was an extended kind of like shape where
Like
it's not
without the
quite IMAX, but
letterbox.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, it seemed like that for my movie too, which was weird. There was no black bars on my theater.
I
It fit
wonder
the
if
full
that was
screen, so I don't know.
yeah, I wonder what the reasoning or if every version of the movie is going to appear like that. But
Is that like
it
the
helped with
Avengers?
the
Is
what?
that like the Avengers aspect ratio? Because I noticed the
Yeah,
Avengers
it's
aspect ratio is vastly different than the
the
other movies,
Avengers and Ant-Man both have the same aspect ratio.
which is interesting. I didn't.
Well, Ant-Man it
Is it
makes
just
sense
like
because
IMAX?
it's based on the size changing. Like it was filmed to
Got it.
look a certain way, but only the first
Mhm.
one for whatever reason. There's a video essay about it, like about the Ant-Man aspect ratio.
I should look that up
Yeah,
because I
it's
noticed it when
interesting.
editing. I'm like the aspect ratio is changing, but these are the original theater formats. So,
Well, actually, no. Some of them are the IMAX cuts in my
ah,
library. But
got it.
yeah. For as far as the movie goes,
Hmm.
I think what I like most about this movie is that it doesn't try and start a franchise.
No, it definitely gives me that just like it's a standalone movie, but there are little hints, but
But
otherwise
they're little hints,
it does its own out.
but they're not meant to like set anything up. It's just like it's world building.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It sprinkles in that this world already pre-exists. We're just seeing it now,
I mean,
basically.
there is one setup, but it's like
Hmm.
it's so brief, and it's something they've already filmed, so
Yeah,
it's like it's
it,
definitely happening. Um,
I enjoyed it.
and
I enjoyed seeing that. It was
no, I
fun.
did too. I really like the comic storyline that they're going to be adapting for that too. So, and I was like, oh, this is going to be like straight out of the comic, like based on what happens. But I don't want to get into that because spoilers, and I want to
Yeah,
give people a
it's a
chance to see the
spoilery thing.
movie. But
Yeah.
and if I see any spoilers in the chat, I will remove them. Um,
Hmm.
so just don't bother because you'll just get muted for the rest of the stream. Um,
Yeah.
but like the things I liked about it was it felt very like day in the life of. It didn't feel like we were, and this sounds like a put down, but it really isn't. It didn't seem like it was a significant story for like the world of the DC universe. It was just like this is what a couple days in the life of Superman would be like during
Yeah, the
this
world
specific moment in time.
it didn't really feel like the world itself was specifically ending. during the plot of the movie. It felt like, yeah, it was an average day for Superman, or an average couple of days for him.
And there were
And
significant like there were
yeah.
significant like character moments that happened for him, but
Mhm.
I ultimately like the overall like action and the things that were happening in the movie were more related to uh like Superman just kind of finding himself a little bit, but not in a Superman Returns way where it's really exhausting and dull.
Yeah, no, not at all. But you still feel like this was it definitely established certain relationships that are important for later, like that kind of thing. But it definitely did feel it definitely did feel in that vein of it. Did it give an Iron Man vibe to you, Zach, or no? Did it
No,
not
not
really?
really, because
No.
Iron Man I always felt like it is a standalone movie, but it is Iron Man you can make carbon copies of, cuz like the plot of Doctor Strange is the plot of the first Iron Man. The plot of a lot of the origin Marvel movies seem to be just like repeating the Iron Man formula. And I didn't really get like a sense of a formula from this. It did just feel
No.
like it feels like reading All Star Superman, where it's like, this happens, and then a couple days later this happens, and then a couple days later this happens.
Just little bits of stories broken up into the
Yeah,
like one giant movie. Yeah.
there were you could have put chapter breaks in the movie. I think like how James Gunn did with the Suicide Squad, how they have the chapter bits in between, like they have a title card for each of the chapter breaks.
Yeah, I totally agree. There were certain sections that did feel like a little bit different with like one loose plot thread kind of connecting through all of them, but
Yeah,
nothing that was indirectly impacting each other. But there were certain instances during the third act that, yeah, it all kind of culminated.
and it's really
And
and I can understand how like watching the trailer, like you could probably get an idea of like, oh, this movie looks like it's gonna be messy, but it looks like it could be messy and a little overstuffed with characters. I see a comment or a chat thing I want to respond to, because
yeah,
no, if
no,
you're gonna know what I'm responding to.
I
No, there is not.
yeah, I know. I see the same thing. I'm like, no, we've been over this like a billion times on the channel. We've said this, and there's
I
been
mean,
numerous interviews.
I feel like it's not a spoiler, but there is there's something in the background that indicates to another character being pretty close to Metropolis. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, there is. There's also a couple of hints and Easter eggs at other characters that are running around, but yeah, it's a superhero movie, so you're gonna get those little hints in the background. I'll talk to you after, Zach, on which character that is. I don't know if you caught them.
Yeah,
I didn't
I'm
catch
not
them intentionally.
entirely sure, but the movie does have a
Mhm.
lot of characters, but I think what works is it gives every character a defining trait, a thing that they're doing. It gives everybody something to do. It's a movie. It gives everybody something to do, and it
Mhm.
explains everything as it goes on. Like, for example, like I know a lot of people were really worried how they would handle Green Lantern in the movie. Guy Gardner, played by Nathan Fillion, and
Handled
he's
it
in the
beautifully.
movie. He's in the movie just enough where it's like, okay, it makes sense why this character is here, and he gets a good character moment. But even like the Daily Planet team gets little like story moments that all pay off and have like they all get to do something. And that's what's really exciting about the movie, is that there's not a single character who doesn't have something to do, except for I think one of my major problems with the movie, but it's a bit of a spoiler.
Yeah, same. I thought you were about to clarify the character. I was like, Zach, no, no. I I totally agree. And every single character was actually pretty well utilized in total aspect, like you said. Initially I was just like, is this gonna just be all about Superman and Clark Kent? Because it makes sense, it's Superman. But everyone gets like a good fair share without overstaying their welcome. to be entirely honest.
You know what I do have to say is that I was a little disappointed with the amount of Clark Kent in the movie.
Oh yeah.
I went
I
in
mean,
kind of I went in anticipating a bit more. I like the performance, but it's only really one scene.
yeah. Two scenes, one and a half, one and a half. Technically, like if we're talking, uh, all the scenes that have been just in the trailer, right?
Well, like it's as far as I know, it's just one scene. That's all I'll say. But I can only remember one significant scene where he had to put on the performance of being Clark Kent.
Yeah, right. Yep, that one. Yeah, everything else is kind of like iffy, but
And I think
yeah, dude was.
I think there's some
Mhm.
pluses. This isn't really a spoiler because it was revealed in the second trailer, but Lois Lane knows Clark Kent is Superman, which that seems to be a more frequent move that a lot of Superman material is making lately. But
Where she just knows from the jump.
not even from the jump, but like, she finds out fairly early on. Whereas if you
Uh,
read All Star Superman, there's an entire chapter of that story where she's just in complete disbelief. She thinks he is trying to kill her and trick her.
Yeah, she shoots him with a laser gun, like just
Yeah.
out of rip. I was reading, I was like, this is strange, but I get it. She's like thinking, oh, this guy's gonna kill me. I'm like,
But
why would you think that?
I think there's there's so much that could have been done with the secret identity of Clark Kent
Mm.
with Lois Lane especially. But and I was a little disappointed to see that they didn't really go for it, but I liked their relationship a lot. I thought that was a really nice part of it. I liked the thing we saw in the second trailer where she's interviewing him as Superman. That's a
Yeah,
really really good scene.
and the back and forth was actually pretty great during that scene. It kind of established like what he wanted to do. It was a good James Gunn exposition scene because like they really just needed to go back and forth and like see what his whole deal was.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I enjoyed that. I thought it dragged a little bit in some very small parts, but otherwise,
The movie as
we
a
got
whole
also
or that scene?
just that scene in like certain bits, but overall it did add to the experience. But there were some bits where they were like going back and forth. Like there were some jokes that were being tossed around, and I was like, all right, can we speed it up a little bit, guys?
I
But
have to say though,
it was
it
important.
hit the nail on the head of what it's like to fight when you're in a relationship where you're just like, yeah, go ahead, do it, do it, do it, do it. Why did you do that?
You can relate to that more than me right now. So you're all you. Yeah. How about Zach? Since you're also an owner of a dog, like, did it hit out? Did
Oh
crypto
yeah,
kind of hit you there?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
being an
That
unruly dog.
when he was like he's a bad dog. I was like, yeah, yeah, so is my dog. I get that.
Hey, no, no.
Yeah, just
Uh,
constantly causing chaos like that, which I like that as an adaptation of Crypto. Like
it's a
I
realistic
know
adaptation.
I know a
A
lot of
lot of
people
dogs.
had.
Understand.
I went to war with people on Twitter who were like, "Oh, James Gunn's Nepo dog is in the movie," and it's like, shut the fuck. Like, you're gonna be upset about somebody adapting a dog to be more like their dog.
Yeah, like in the numerous interviews that he's done, he's like, "This dog is a terror, like on me." And then we see during the movie, yeah, it's not a well-trained dog. It's a super dog, but also not a well-trained dog either. And he's legitimately important to the plot. It's not just they're tossing in Crypto as like a little little side or little background character. He's legitimately pivotal to the plot.
He does,
And I
and it's like to give a comparison, he kind of has the role of Groot in Guardians Volume 2 a little bit, where it's like,
yeah, he does. Yeah.
yeah, he is very powerful and very important, and he helps out, but also he's completely unreliable.
Yeah, absolutely.
What
There's
what do you
numerous
think
times.
of what do you think of Metamorpho?
I loved Metamorpho. The actor playing him, Anthony Carrigan, pretty great. Loved him
I
as
don't think
NoHo, Hank, and Barry.
he didn't have enough time to. I
No, not
wanted to see
enough.
more of him. I was so
Yeah,
bummed out. And Baby Joey. Baby Joey is cool.
yeah. From the few seconds everyone saw in the trailer, didn't really do him justice here because I was just like, oh, whatever. He's gonna be a background character that's tertiary or whatever, or
Very
some
cool
emo
design though
version.
too.
Super cool design. Did you know Metallo already exists in this universe as well? It was like in a prequel
In
novel that
the
was released
novel,
before the movie.
yeah, the young
Yeah,
readers novel.
yeah, which kind of an important character, isn't he? But or just
I
like
mean, like
throw him
he
there.
can be, but also like just save that for a later movie. And that's
Yeah.
one thing I will say is that if anybody was concerned about this movie doing too much in 2 hours, everything is very streamlined. That is the
Oh yeah.
main thing I noticed. I was like, because in the trailer you do see him fighting a kaiju, you see Lex Luthor, you see the Ultraman fight, you see him
The Hammer
fighting
of
the
Baravia.
Hammer of Baravia and the Engineer. Uh, but yeah, that was
I I also
everything
thought it
worked
was gonna
out.
be overcrowded, but yeah, very streamlined as
I
soon as we
didn't.
saw the
I,
movie.
I wasn't really afraid of it being overcrowded because I know James Gunn can handle an ensemble cast. Like that's
Hmm.
where he
It
shines,
like
but
he
the focus is always on uh it's always on Superman.
you saw that, yeah, yeah. Sorry, dude, that's a spoiler. Can't have those in the chat, please. People haven't seen the movie yet. Um, I sorry, I was focused on you getting rid of that spoiler in the chat. Um, yeah, no, James Gunn can definitely handle an ensemble cast, and that's why it works so well. The fact that everyone had their little bit in the sun, so to speak, quote unquote. But and we got to see some really cool character moments from every single person. He does a fantastic job with the 2 hours that he's given, or the two
Hmm.
hours that he gave himself to do the movie. Because honestly, he could have done 3 hours, but I don't think
So
anyone would really
so
want to go for three
there
hours.
was one action sequence where I was just like, "Oh, you know what? He's reusing an action sequence from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You
I
know the
saw
one I'm talking
exactly.
about? Okay.
I know exactly. Yeah, I know the one
But
you're
I was
talking
like, "You know
about.
what? I don't really care cuz it works."
It it does. Hey, you gotta. If he's ripping off himself, at least that's like his thing. Also, he did sneak in some needle drops. It's James Gunn,
I wouldn't say
but
there's one and then there's an end credits song.
like one needle drop. But like, even though he said he was like choosing to like hold it back, so it wasn't as prevalent from like Volume 2 and Volume 3 of Guardians,
Well,
or Volume 1.
it's all the score, and then there's one song in the middle, and then there's a closing credits song.
And then the mm, no, I'm got. You know what? I'll just give it a rewatch and note those times. Um, but and then also everything I wrote in here was just like all the notes on that. There were certain scenes that were pretty. I didn't think that were gonna be so great as they were, but now they're my favorite part of the movie. Jimmy Olsen is my favorite character, somewhat in that movie. I really love like his whole little deal there. When you guys see this in the theaters, trust me, you're gonna love it. Um, and the Clark's parents love them as well.
Well, that is they are the core of the movie, and I like what they do with them. They don't have a lot of screen time in the movie, but they're
Hmm.
really important to the plot of it. Like
Yeah,
so I just read Superman Birthright recently, and that storyline has a lot of like the opening of Jonathan Kent being very disapproving of him wanting to go public. And I had the feeling that this version of the character also felt that way previously.
initially. Yeah, Yeah, like
And that's why,
early career.
yeah. So they kind of, there's a little bit of tension that they never really talk about, but you can kind of feel that it's there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They were really like you could feel the love versus like the Man of Steel adaptation where it was like they were kind of like there was a little bit of love there too, but not those
Also,
weird.
surprise,
What's up?
surprise Jor-El casting. I don't want to say who it
Yeah,
is, but like
yeah.
that popped up on screen. I was just like, oh wow, all right.
As soon as I saw him, I was just like, makes sense, but
But also
damn,
same
all
thing
right.
with Lara. It was
Yeah,
yeah. I don't want to say who it was, but I recognized her from certain things.
yeah. It might be a minor spoiler, but yes, Jor-El does show up in the movie. Of course, that's a Superman movie. You're gonna see his dad
Well, I
at
didn't
some
think they
point.
were. I assumed like at the most maybe we would hear like a voiceover, but like
Hmm.
having they don't like redo the they don't redo the origin, but
This you
it's
see
it's
this
also
comment.
not the first time that man has appeared in a movie, and I didn't expect to see
Mhm.
him in that movie.
I yeah, I didn't. Well, he works a lot with James Gunn, so it's not really a surprise. Um, did you see this comment? Clearly, Jor-El was played by The Rock.
Yeah, he
Yes,
was
yes,
shifting
the hierarchy,
the hierarchy of
the
the
DC
DC
power.
universe. Yeah.
If I can't
Hawk.
fight Superman, I'll be Superman's dad.
So I thought Hawkgirl was like Hawkgirl was really cool visually. I liked the characterization. I don't
Hmm.
think she had a lot to do though. Out of
No,
all
no,
of
she did.
the out of all of the metal human characters, she had the least to do.
Yeah, she was. I was a little disappointed, but she does have like a moment, like where it's kind of her moment during the latter half of the movie. But otherwise, other than like the other two Justice Gang characters, she doesn't really get like her
She
own
does get a
scene.
big
You know what I
moment
mean?
at the end,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the moment I was hinting at.
but I
But
don't think she had a lot of build up leading up to that moment.
what about Guy Garther?
Guy
Guy Gardner.
Gardner is
Yes.
probably, yeah, he's good. And I like that they just call him Green Lantern. They don't have to specifically call him Guy Gardner the
Guy.
entire time. That he is Green Lantern, and I'm excited to see how he plays around with the other Green Lanterns in this world, because we also know that Hal Jordan and John Stewart exist, and we'll be
Mm-hmm.
seeing later this year or early next year for Lanterns.
Next year, I think, if I remember correctly. But I definitely want to see him pop up because some of the I looked up lanterns and it just gave me actual lanterns instead of just to show like it's candlelight lanterns. Let's see.
This is what you meant, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly what I meant. Like everyone needs a lantern in mid. Let's see, from February to July 2020. So yeah, filming took place and it just ended. So yeah, probably sometime next year.
Yeah, but we could see it late this year too.
Eh,
That is a possibility.
In like a teaser, definitely. I um I thoroughly enjoyed
Early 2026.
yes, early 2026. There we go. I also thoroughly enjoyed Nicholas Holt's portrayal of Lex Luthor.
Oh
I
yeah,
I thought he was
one.
he
He was
was
so punchable.
such a petty bitch during the movie. He was so petty. He was evil Lex Luthor. He was a vastly different uh interpretation from Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, thank
But you
God.
know what?
Uh
There was a lot of Michael Rosenbaum, Lex Luthor in him.
yeah, I keep seeing people like relating it to Smallville and I was like, yeah, it fits. It's the whole movie kind of
It's
has
very
Smallville
clear
energy.
that James Gunn was a Smallville fan, because he does certain
Absolutely.
things from Smallville that make, the only thing he doesn't do is he gets the Smallville team name incorrect. Uh, or there could be a second team name. But Smallville Crows is typically what the high school team is called.
I
And
think
there
you
was
should
a
rewrote it.
banner in the bedroom that said Smallville Giants.
There was and then there was like a certain band, and I had to ask you like if the band was real or not. Definitely love the fact that they're doing that world building out. And
Somebody in the
yeah,
theater I heard say, I think that's James Gunn's band.
he did seem like he was in a band before, but I don't think it was that specific band. And if it was, that would have been really funny. Because you do see like a poster, and I didn't spot him on there.
I typed in
Uh,
Superman band, not and of course I just get Goldfinger.
from Tony Hawk, and also from the fact that they're a previously established band. So how much was he like comics Lex? Zach, can you fill in? Somebody in the
He
comments asked like, was he
so
like
it,
comics Lex Luthor?
it's difficult to say how he would be like Comics Lex because Comic Lex is different depending on who's writing it. I think he nails the aspects where he's very like he thinks ahead. He's clearly the most intelligent person in the room. I like that. He's very narcissistic, and I think that works
Egomaniacal.
well. Yeah, and but like if you're comparing it to something like, he's not well composed in the way that comic Lex Luthor typically is in most situations. The one part where you really do see that composure, though, is the scene that released online where Superman comes in asking where Krypto is.
Oh yeah, stone cold during that when a guy's flipping around his table.
But
Um,
he
he
gets to like mustache twirling evil levels later on in the
dastard.
movie.
I do like that he's just evil just to be evil. He doesn't have to be like society is overpopulating and we need to fix that. Blah blah blah. The Earth is, but he's not. They're not
No,
trying to
he's doing it
humanize him
just
a
because
little
he
bit.
hates Superman.
He is such a hater. He's the biggest Superman hater, and that's everything you really need to nail in a Lex Luthor character. Not because he's just like, oh, he's a super powered being that like he's too powerful. Blah blah blah. Like how Jesse I'm over. I don't remember how Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor was with like what was his reasoning for hating on Superman. Was it the same deal? Because it's been a
He
while since
had
I've seen
like
that movie.
he had some kind of complex between gods and men. That was his whole
Yeah,
thing.
no, they don't do that during the. He just hates him. He hates
Well,
him.
he hates
He
him
does not like
because,
him.
and the prequel novel kind of explains this. It's because Lex Luthor, and the you can kind of get this from the movie, but it's not super explained. Lex
Yeah.
Luthor was like the big deal in Metropolis before Superman came along, and he's being overshadowed by Superman, and he has a very clear like ego problem.
He can't stand the attention being taken away from him. And
But he
to
also
be
doesn't like the fact that Superman is not from Earth, which plays into the end of the movie, and it's why a lot of dumb bad people will not like this movie.
yeah, the movie definitely has some overt real life stuff that
Well,
James Gunn's been playing around in his DC
well,
universe. Like he's been doing it for this past
I
couple of
well, I
adaptations.
will
Yeah.
say, I don't think the movie was inherently political. I
No,
think
no, but
it's just the real world issues that the movie tries to tackle have been so
mhm.
politicized at this point that it
Oh
it
yeah.
it comes off that way. But I wouldn't say that the movie is over. It makes being a good person, it politicizes that. Like our culture politicizes that.
It yeah, because during watching Zach, like you're just like, I know some of the folks who are gonna look at this and be like, hey, they're making fun of me, you know, or if those people never really watch this movie because they didn't plan to in the first start, like, but you can definitely see the parallels, like you said. Uh,
I will say,
it's
I
definitely
feel
that
like
kind of film.
everybody knows Sean Gunn is in the movie because it's a James Gunn
Yep.
movie. But I'm not going to point out what he says or when he says it. But what Sean Gunn had to say in his brief cameo, I was like, that is so funny.
That is, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I remember that specific. I can't wait to see him in Peacemaker. It's gonna be really funny to like get more clarification on that.
When does
Um,
that start?
August,
Yeah, but like, let's talk
August
about a
16th.
date. Okay,
I think August 16th or the
August
some
21st.
part. 21st. So I was way off, but in the right ballpark, not in the right state. No, no, in the right state, not quite in the
And
right ballpark.
that show is gonna tackle the actual transition from the old DCEU into this one, I guess.
Yep, from what we saw during the trailer, it's going to tackle the multiverse stuff. I think James specifically said that because of that Justice League scene at the end of season 1 that
Oh,
they're gonna kind of
here's
fix that
somebody I
bit
forgot
up.
about. What did you think of Rick Flag Senior?
I because I saw through all of Creature Commandos, his character is consistent. They don't
It's
really hint.
consistent, but he doesn't have a lot to do.
Yeah, yeah, he's relegated to like a leadership stand, but he's not like if you guys want more Rick Flag Senior, watch Creature Commandos and it like additions like it's how because that's all we have right now of the two DCU properties like technically is Creature Commandos and Superman with everything else kind of being like brought into canon. It's going to be very interesting to see like what he wants to do with like involving other characters and stuff like that. Like he said, everything's going to stand on its own, definitely. But I remember him also saying down the line, once we start getting into it, that'll change a little bit. But for now, everything's going to stand on its own and be like its own little thing. And you could definitely see aspects of that. There's, of course, Rick Flag Sr. showing up, but nothing from Creature Commandos really carries over.
So what I
You know
will
what I mean?
say, I saw somebody in the comments say something about multiverse. I think they're going to be laying that to rest right away. Like just kind of
Immediately.
addressing the fact that like yes, we are carrying and continuing some things over, but this is why, and we're just gonna cut it out there until they do like a Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline.
Marvel is doing that, and it failed on that. And I think DC doesn't want to tackle that yet because there's not much setup
Well, I
for
wouldn't say
anything
they
like that.
failed on that.
Or
They
it's
haven't
not
even
as
gotten there yet.
they haven't. It's a whole saga, Zach, and it hasn't really felt like
but
a multiverse
but
saga. I think we
but
discussed
the
that.
Infinity Saga has 7 movies that relate to the Infinity Stones across 21 movies.
All right, fair. You got me on that one. All
Yeah.
right. It definitely is the MacGuffin of the saga. Anyway, back to Superman. Uh, somebody in the comments says, "Are the Raptors real people?"
Yes.
Yes,
You
they
see
are.
him punch one in the trailer.
Yeah, yeah. He's punching his teeth out, and everyone on Twitter freaked out because they're like, "Superman doesn't punch someone's teeth out."
But
Um,
here's the thing with the DCU compared to the MCU is that DC is going to focus on standalone stories that each have their own purpose, and maybe they introduce characters that we'll see in future movies or storylines we'll see in future movies. But
mhm.
what we need to what he's working on is like not a big Justice League crossover in the same way they build up to an Avengers crossover every couple of years. It's going to eventually happen, and it's going to be earned when it happens.
You also have to like every person that like comes along the way. Like they want to make sure that those characters are liked and beloved before you start throwing them all into one giant mixer. That's a big part of it. Like you need a core. Now, when I see DCU properties, I'm gonna be like, how is this gonna relate back to Superman? How is this gonna relate back to Batman? But I know that that's not the focus. But if it's a small little hint, and if David Corenswet shows up in a future movie, I'll be a little happy, of course. But I don't expect him to be a central figure in the story. If they do one little thing where he just comes in, it's like, oh hey, Superman, what's up? And then he flies off. Makes sense.
Yeah. And
You know
I
what I mean?
also see
Yeah.
the comment about so he heat visioned a bunch of people to death. No, Superman can heat vision somebody, and it's like he can control
He
like
can
how far it goes and how
he can
impactful it is.
control. Yeah, the intensity he can
And
control it.
it's like a lot of it is just like he damaged the equipment that they were wearing. Like you see that in the movie.
The movie does make a point to show you like these guys aren't dead. They're
He
just
is,
hurt.
yeah, he makes a point to not kill anything in the
Hmm.
movie, and it's, but he's never like, oh, I'm mad you killed some. He never like gets mad at somebody for killing in an attempt to save people.
What about ice breath? How much of that does he use in the movie? He uses it
No, he doesn't use
like.
the ice breath at all. He just
Oh
uses
yeah,
the
yeah. He
super
only
breath,
uses regular breath.
and
Yeah.
it's in a clip that was already released.
Mm-hmm. And a bunch of clips that were already released. Let's see. Hi Professor X. I watched your We Have a X-Men prom. You're wrong. The first 6 X-Men weren't the first mutants. It's been retconned in 2022.
I never said that they were the first mutants. I was never implying that the X-Men were the only mutants that appeared at the beginning of the Marvel Universe. But all
I
right,
don't think so.
you do you.
Alright.
I'm
Um,
saying that that was when the world was introduced to the concept of mutants, was with the original X-Men run in the Marvel Universe. Technically,
yeah, that's what I thought.
if we're talking about Marvel lore, Apocalypse was the first mutant, and that was hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago.
Ruby CSM says, "Who is y'all's favorite DC characters?" By the way, um,
Uh, I'm
there's a
a
lot.
big Kyle Rayner Green Lantern fan.
I do enjoy a good John Stewart every now and then. I also like Booster Gold. A lot of the Justice League animated series. The Question is pretty great as well. Love me the Question. I really hope they do a Question movie at some point or series
I'm
even.
also I'm a Dick Grayson and Tim Drake stan. They're my two favorite Robins, and they've
They are
been my
really good.
two favorite. Well, Tim Drake was he was Robin when I was growing up, so that's a big part of that. But Dick Grayson was Nightwing, and that was always Nightwing's
Is it
cool.
fair to say Damian Wayne's like my least favorite Robin,
Now
or is that like
I
a?
mean, most people say Jason Todd is their least favorite Robin, but Damian Wayne
I
is
hate.
pretty high up there. He's meant
I
to be
dislike.
hated though.
I dislike how many times people have to keep using like Jason Todd and like being like, oh, he's coming back to betray Batman. They
Well,
pull out that old dog and pony show every 5 times.
Red Hood is a that only happened as far as I know in Arkham Knight, where it was the most predictable plot twist of all time.
Somebody directly asked the Arkham Knight devs, they're like, is it Jason Todd there? And they're like, no, it's not. It's an original character. And then they skirt around it by being like, it's an original character, but there's a established character inside the armor.
It's so dumb because he just ends up wearing
Yeah.
the Red Hood costume by the end of that game. But
I
I love the Red Hood storyline, but Jason Todd as Robin is looked at very like a lot of people really don't like that version of Robin.
Very edgy, yeah. Especially when the adaptation of the Red Hood storyline when it was animated and you had Jensen Ackles playing as Red Hood
No,
and
you're talking
it
about Red
definitely had
Hood
some edge.
still though. I'm talking about Robin, like when he was
Oh,
Robin.
I didn't see that much of him as Robin. I just keep seeing people adapt him as Red Hood or like edgy Robin,
Well,
basically.
because his tenure as so, the story behind Jason Todd was he was a really hated character during when he
Hmm.
was introduced as Robin, and then they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have this storyline called Death in the Family. We're gonna have our readers vote on whether or not Jason Todd lives or dies," and everybody voted for him to die.
I remember that. I think there was like a story somewhere where some guy just kept calling in and like gaming the system to kill Jason Todd, and someone was like, "That one guy killed him," or he
But
tipped over the vote.
there was an animated movie recently where there was like a choose your own adventure ending where it's like, does Jason Todd live or die, basically.
Oh God. Ah, but bless you.
Thank you.
If we're going back to Superman,
Superman.
yeah, let's go back to that. But fun comic
Oh,
book discussions aside.
so one thing I was really glad about because I thought they were building up to it, and
Yeah.
I don't feel like this is a spoiler, but I thought they were going to create the Justice League or like try and like Avengerify the end of the movie, where it's like, we should have a team of Justice League, like something like that, where it's like, oh,
We should have a league or something.
yeah, I thought that's what the post credit scenes are completely not important to the plot. But one of them is Mr. Terrific talking with Superman, and there was a part where Superman said something about just, and then if Mr. Terrific says us, and then they do some kind of dumb like, just say that again.
No, what are we? Some kind of Justice League?
I thought that's what
they would have never
built
done
to.
I thought so too. I genuinely. You mean the Justice Gang? Yeah, that's the proto Justice League thing they got going on right now. But
which
I don't
they're
think
going to explore
we're not
more
going to
in
see
Peacemaker
that.
season 2.
We're not going to see the like proper Justice League not for a while, and not probably like not in the way that you're expecting, to be entirely real. Like if we're talking the Trinity and then Flash at some point, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, all those guys, they're not even a thought right now in the DCU's brain. So uh, so yeah, I thought I as soon as I saw the Justice Gang thing, I was like, I know what you're doing. There's some kind of like team of superheroes, which the movie does do a lot with like that aspect, and that's kind of a video idea that I have right now. But it's definitely like he's playing around with the idea for now, but I feel like he's gonna have like everyone's an established hero first, and then we're gonna round them up all later at some point. But for now, we're keeping them solo. We're making them like so that you like them, because the next movie is Supergirl, definitely, and then after that is
Clayface.
Do we have a Clayface? Those are the 3 established that we know of that are happening.
And then
because
it's
the scripts
going
are
to
done in
be.
filming.
Oh,
Dynamic
we
Duo.
didn't really talk about. No, Dynamic Duo is not next. That's also not in the DCU. Next is the Authority.
Yeah, because one of the characters is
the engineer. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's already set up. It's just that they haven't gotten to the writing the script yet, which is interesting to see like the process happen as we go on.
You know what I saw online a couple weeks ago? Somebody being really mad. They were like, "Oh, I can't believe Krypto isn't even Supergirl's dog in this universe." And it's like, this is why you don't make assumptions based on just stills and images from the movie and trailer footage.
Yeah, that's why you just don't listen to Twitter. Like everything that people have said on Twitter had the movie has been over exaggerated or baiting for tweets.
But the thing is, like, even if I think they can both have a relationship with Krypto, because it's like you never connected with a dog that somebody else owned that you knew.
Yeah,
like
exactly. You can't be friends with a dog. Like, is that dog only loyal to that person? What, bro? I don't think some of these people have ever encountered a dog in their lives, to be honest with you.
I'll say there's the most minor background detail that hints to Batman, but not the Batman. The Batman is not in the DCU.
Now, the script hasn't even been done, guys. Like, they're working on it from the last time I saw it.
We don't even know who the writer is.
We don't. He says he's got a screenwriter working on it, so that, that's it. That's all he can share for now. And they're not going to cast until the script is done and approved.
John Hamm for Bruce Wayne. That's all I'm going to say.
I want Alan Richardson, but
no, that's not going to happen.
No,
it's
come
just
on,
not.
Man.
No, Alan Richardson.
It's a good fan
himself said
cast.
it's not going to happen. I'm not saying it's not a good pick. I'm just saying it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But
I
know
didn't
it's going to be like
Craig Gillespie is directed. He directed Supergirl. I really like him. Yeah, I, Tonya, Dumb Money, Fright Night.
Oh, nice.
Pam and Tommy.
Did you see? All right, if we're talking we're talking social media reaction to this movie. Do you think that the fervor over the movie getting a positive review? How do you figure on that? Like, what's your aspect on that? Like, it was all Twitter was talking about yesterday when their review embargo dropped.
About I'm sorry, wait, what's the issue?
So the social media reaction to the movie in general, like yesterday was just like Twitter, my Twitter specifically, was just rampant with like people just like wanting the movie to be good or wanting to trash it, right? But what do you like? Do you think that people's overall reviews of the movie, like, kind of, like, were they accurate to what the Rotten Tomato score or something like that was? Like,
But
we
that's
see the critics
so
reviews
Arash,
where you could be like,
if you watch my video, uh,
I
you
do,
the one I
I
made
did,
yesterday, you will learn that Rotten
yeah.
Tomatoes is not a it is not a percentage based on how good a
It's a
movie
review
is.
aggregate. Yeah,
Yes,
it's a
and
review
it is
aggregate,
just a percentage of how many people liked it versus disliked it.
and it technically, uh, and it technically, like, I think it's like over a 2 out of 5 system. Then they reviewed as positive.
It
Is
depends
that the
on
correct thing?
the outlet that that reviews the movies, because some people have a 4-star system, some people have a 10-star system. Like it all
Hmm.
just depends. But
Yeah, watching
anything below 60% is considered rotten on Rotten Tomatoes.
anything below 60, really. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
60 is considered
Yeah,
fresh.
the movie is certified fresh. But it definitely. Do you think that this is a good start to the DCU?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
that's the thing, is that like it's not meant to really be like a kickoff to the DCU. I mean, it is, but also it's not designed to kickstart a cinematic universe. It's it's a universe that exists within the DC universe. I'm sorry, it's a movie that exists within the DC universe, but it's not reliant on trying to set up an entire universe.
yeah, no,
It
it did not feel like that
understands
at all.
in the same way that like Guardians of the Galaxy or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, they exist in the MCU, but their purpose isn't to build up the MCU. It's not to create a universe outside of the MCU. Do you know what I mean? Like the sole purpose of the
Yeah, yeah,
movie isn't just to create a franchise. It was a movie, and there's franchise potential around the movie.
yeah. That's what I felt when I saw it too. There's no, you know, there's small little hints, but nothing where Marvel is basically doing where they're just shoehorning in like little plot devices that are going to be used later. That's not the point there. It's like you said, definitely a day in the life of Superman, and honestly, it just does that pretty well. Does a
You
good
know,
job. Introduces us to that character.
I went to Rotten Tomatoes just to like take a look at what
Yeah.
some of the reviews were saying. Much of
Right.
Gunn's film feels like a sequel. We needed something before this one to complete the whole picture. Shut the fuck up. Well, why you will we want another Superman origin story actually. Billy Melissa from Newsweek. Dumbass.
I some of the reviews were brutal for no reason, dude. It
You want to know something?
definitely.
This
What's
person's
up?
review right before Superman was Jurassic World Rebirth, positive review. It's fantastical, romantic, awe-inspiring, but most of all, fun.
I Justin said like he fell asleep multiple times during it. Uh,
But like you're look, I'm a
that's
big
such
I
high
love the
praise
first
for a
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic World movie.
Fantastical, romantic, awe-inspiring.
That does not show what I thought that the Jurassic World
That
movie was
doesn't
going to be at
track.
all. That doesn't know what. You know what? You gotta give me like. I'm so blown out right now. Hold on. Like
Look,
my
I
phone
can't say
volume is
anything
crazy.
because I haven't seen the movie yet, but
Yeah.
based on what I've seen people discussing around the movie, it doesn't seem. This review just says great dog movie.
Great dog movie. These are professional reviewers, Zach? Are these
Well,
like
this is a reviewer. So the thing is with Rotten Tomatoes is you just have to have like we could be certified critics on Rotten Tomato if we wanted to apply we could do that
why don't we? Why don't
because
we do
we
that?
don't write written reviews really.
Uh, yeah, all of our reviews are technically video content, so that
Which
genuinely
like
makes
we
sense.
you could do that, but the thing is it's just like you know we would have to submit like a review score and well you don't have to submit a review score, but I just don't want to deal with the work of updating a Rotten Tomatoes score.
I barely did it for my letterbox last night, like putting that movie on there. I I definitely saw like some of the hate that it was get like okay, so the tension around this movie is definitely like some of the hate that it's getting from like certain critics. Like I remember reading some of the reviews and the UK hates this movie for
Well,
some reason. Like just
there's a very good reason why
I know
they hate
there's a
it.
pretty good
Yeah.
reason. I know there's a pretty good reason.
I mean it's not a
Um
good reason, but it's there's a
it's a
reason
reason.
why. Yeah.
It's a reason. It definitely seems very. You're like, damn.
That
Okay,
makes it
UK, you
hold on, wait.
guys.
We're making it sound like the movie is like anti-UK. It's not. It's
No.
just there's an issue in the movie that the UK is very like people from the UK are very against,
Yeah.
if that makes
hmm
sense.
And it's like, damn, you guys okay? Like, it's just a movie, guys. Do you want to talk about it? It's a fun Superman movie. But all right. Um. Oh no, now it's 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. Is more. Oh dang, dude! Did you see the audience score or the pop commenter
Is it like
score? I don't know if that
97 or something?
95. Tie.
That audience score means absolutely nothing to me.
It does, but it doesn't. But you know, it's good that
When
the movie.
people are mad at a movie, they will and I know there's like a whole like oh no nobody review bombs movies. They do.
They do, they do. If people Steam review bomb Steam stuff and review bomb movies, like that's the only outlet they have to really show their dissatisfaction with something, other than
It's just it's
posting a
pointless.
hot take on
Uh,
Twitter just to be seen by like two people.
do we want to wrap this up just by like taking questions from the chat maybe?
Sounds good. Let's
I don't
go,
know if
and then we
you
can
want to pick and
see.
choose what we do.
Let's see. Let's to be honest. So what do y'all think the DCU will be more like the MCU or Star Wars? I think we kind of already answered that.
Definitely Star Wars.
Definitely get yeah, Star Wars. Like it's a universe that exists. It's just we're seeing different aspects of it.
Which is
Um,
also like I saw there so this is kind of a well-known thing. There's like an opening crawl. It's not really an opening crawl. It's like a couple title cards. But they work.
they do. They do. I know a lot of people like slag them off and they say like, "Oh my God, you gotta explain through text or whatever." Like the people who watch CinemaSins like religiously. Um,
Do
it
people
it
still
works
watch CinemaSins?
to an aspect. He's lost a lot of viewers. At least I don't think so. But his format has definitely changed since when I checked him out like 10 years
That's
ago.
like people who watch like how it should have ended or like all of the
Don't
movie
those guys
content.
get?
Well, I did just find out you still watch honest trailers, which is shocking to me. I
Sometimes it pops up. Sometimes it pops up, and I'll give it a quick look see because some of the jokes they have are still kind of clever.
yeah, there's
Yeah, he's
jokes
still
I've
like
seen on
averaging.
Twitter months ago.
He's still averaging like 100,000 to 200,000 depending on the movie. Like his Dog Man has not done great, but he's not getting million or even above 500,000 anymore. But he's doing
Dogman was
prefer.
a terrific movie. I love that movie.
Let's see. Ex Punisher says, "Dude, are you gonna answer my last chat? Are you gonna address my last chat?" can't. You, no, Apocalypse isn't the first mutant anymore. It was the
Oh
mutant
my
from the
god,
Threshold.
who cares? That's not what we're talking about.
We're not
Like
talking about that.
you're bringing up comics from 2022. Oh my god. Made one thing. I said something in a video. Do you want me to go back and edit the video for you?
uh, uh, I we're taking answers from the chat, guys. We were discussing. Uh, like, uh, no, we appreciate you guys being here. It's just that we were doing a discussion. Arash, stop arguing. Oh, thanks, Monique. Get off of this channel. What are you doing here? All right. Anyway, um, so, uh, to certainly, I don't think anyone's gonna post any questions. Some from UK trends a bit more darker and edgy comments. The post is a good example.
There's also Superman is a movie that deals with some immigration, and the UK. Many people from the UK have their opinions about immigration, and
Not so big on it,
yeah.
you know, not entirely, not very big on that kind of deal. I have a question.
I have a good answer for
Yeah.
you. All-Star Superman, Superman and the Authority, and Superman Birthright were three I read in the lead up for this. I'm trying to think of other ones. I really like the beginning DC Rebirth Superman storyline, where it's So I don't know if I've ever explained DC Rebirth before, but it's like, do you understand DC Rebirth?
The when they rebooted the whole thing from
Yeah.
was it Crisis on Infinite Earths
No.
or
So
was it Final Crisis?
DC was rebooted from Flashpoint in 2011,
Flashpoint.
and then the New 52 was the line that came out after that, and there's a lot of New 52 that really sucks, especially Superman. But after that, they did the Doomsday Clock, which is the Watchmen follow-up storyline, but it involves the DC universe. And then the DC universe was rebooted again after that into Rebirth, where the old DC universe still existed, and they were picking and choosing what worked from New 52 and what didn't work. But in the years for the New 52, Superman and Lois Lane had a kid, and the Superman storyline from Rebirth, I think it's 2016, 2017, is about Superman raising his son, and it's really, really good. It's a good story, and there's other stories that tie into it. I think Action Comics Superman story has it's more focused on him, if that's what you're interested in. But I really like the father-son stuff, and his son has like a friendship with Damian Wayne, and that gets very fun. That's what I'd recommend reading, is the Rebirth first 3 volumes of Superman, maybe. That's a really good one.
Good. And also there's omnibuses of just stories that you could, like you've been saying, Zach, forever, that there's just certain stories you can just pick up and drop. You don't really have to follow the continuity of that.
Yeah, but that's why I'd say like the Rebirth storylines, especially, they're not like super focused on continuity. Like I like the Batman Rebirth storylines also. Those ones are good too. But definitely
Is that the one
All-Star.
Is that the one where Joker like it peels his face off and staples it back onto his own face?
No, I mean that eventually happens, but it's not that. Which Wonder Woman comic should you read? I'm a big fan of Wonder Woman Earth 1. That's like a modern update to the Wonder Woman origin story. Ooh, I'd also say Superman Earth 1 is pretty good. That if you're a Man of Steel fan, you could kind of, I don't know which one came first actually, if it was Man of Steel or Superman Earth 1. Because one is definitely inspired by the other.
And then Joseph Keane asks, what characters do you guys want to see most in the DCU? I think it runs over to what characters we enjoy from DC. Like, I think the Question would be pretty great to see.
I'm excited for Clayface. I'm really amped for that movie.
They seem
Um,
like really excited about it, which is great
well,
to
it's
see.
Mike Flanagan, which I love his movies. He's great. Um,
Hmm.
trying to think of a
What do
character
you
I would want to
what do
see
you do
really.
again? Remind me.
Doctor Sleep, Gerald's Game. He did the Haunting on Hill House series.
Oh, he just did Life of
He did
Chuck.
Life of Chuck. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this guy knows horror. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Good to see. Um,
But I would recommend Superman Earth One. Like it has which it also predated Man of Steel, so I made sure it's Man of Steel as far as like the idea behind what the world is like. Kind of, it's more the whole Earth One line is like more grounded stories using these characters. But I would recommend. I think the Superman Earth One storyline is what like a better version of Man of Steel could have been. Superman for all seasons. Also, I have tons of Superman comic recommendations. Apparently,
there's a lot of really good ones, to be honest.
Superman smashes the
Uh,
Klan. That's a good one.
I saw that one. I just saw that it exists. I'll have to get into that. That's funny. Uh, I also recommend. What do y'all think about Grant Grayson being the Flash again, or Grant Gustin being the Flash again? Or would you want a new actor?
I, the thing is, I only watched a couple episodes of the Flash show, and I was like, this is fine for what it is, but I don't really care about it. Um, I think I'd prefer a new actor just because he played the Flash for what, like 10 years?
Yeah, he he was the yeah he was essentially their Flash for 10 years, did their multiversal stuff, crossed over with a bunch of other shows, basically did their version of the Justice League.
Look,
They did a lot with him.
I know people love the Flash in the Arrowverse, but can we make fun of it for a minute?
Go on, go on, go on.
What's your favorite clip you've seen from those shows?
It was definitely the one
I know
where
what your favorite clip is gonna be. I'm testing to see if I know
say it,
what it
say
would
it,
be. No, no, no.
say it.
I want to hear. I don't want to don't want to sway your opinion.
Okay, so one of my favorite ones, because I'm gonna be honest, I've seen the show on and off, but I've seen like clips on YouTube, and there was one specific one where there's a shark guy and the CGI just looks
I was
terrible in it.
wrong.
What was it?
I was like 100%. It's got to be Gorilla Grodd going back in time to kill Obama.
That's the second one. To be honest with you, this King Shark showing up and his CGI looking pretty bad was kind of funny, but Gorilla Grodd killing Obama was a that's a highlight.
Oh, Barack Obama, it
That
will be an honor to destroy you.
there's 20 episodes of those shows a season because the CW just keeps pumping them out. They have to do something. They have to do something. And I thought, man, it's so funny.
That
um,
clip out of context is so wild.
dude, seeing the numerous like flashes also in that series, I'm like, all right, everyone has flash powers. It just makes the Flash seem a little less important when everyone's got his powers.
I honestly, outside of because I know Kid Flash is probably in that show, right?
Kid Flash is in it. At some point, Iris gets flash powers. Like everyone gets flash
What?
powers.
Really?
Iris gets flash power. Yeah, I swear to Christ, everyone in that show gets flash powers. Like, let me see if I can pull up a list. One.
That's kind of overkill.
Like Iris gets. They all become like a flash gang. Like, I. I'd have to do a little bit more research, but for God's sakes, like every time I saw a clip, I'm just like, there's 5 people here who can run, use the Speed Force. What the hell is Flash doing here then?
That's why I just
The guy on the
Googled
right,
Speed
let's see.
Force and went to the DC database to see if it would tell me how many
Yeah.
characters, residents.
Hold on, if I can find Iris
Arrowverse.
West. Yep, Iris West. The Flash as well.
Not like a multiverse version of the Flash.
Nope, 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 nope. Just straight up.
Weird.
There, Godspeed shows up as well. There's a whole bunch. Like they do, to their credit, they do dive into the thing. But yeah, no. Rank all Team Flash members with powers, even the one that are most powerful and least powerful. I'm just like going into the Arrowverse thing right here. Yeah, Kid Flash. There's a couple of.
I have no
There's the
interest in the Arrowverse. Like,
Either do I, dude. 20 episodes. I used to be into like Arrow season 1 through 3, but no, it was
I wasn't. I was like, oh, Arrow. It's being done by it's like Green Arrow, but like Smallville. It's being done like Smallville. And then I watched Arrow, and I was like, this is kind of boring.
It's basically if Green Arrow was Batman. That's
Well,
what they
Green
went for.
Arrow has always been Batman, but lamer.
Yeah, with arrows. Yeah. Uh, what character do you guys want Chris Pratt to be? I don't know.
I could see him being Booster Gold.
I could, yeah, definitely would fit in that
Or
role.
maybe I would want him to like play super against type.
Yeah, like not Adam, but who's that one guy who's like nuclear powered? Who's that one guy? I swear to God, it was in the Justice League Unlimited series.
Well, there's the Atom who can shrink. He's like DC's Ant-Man, basically.
Not the one who could shrink. The one who's like a retired like military general who's like all silver and he's got like nuclear powers. Or am I making that character up? I swear to God, I saw him.
No, I know who you're talking
DC.
about, and I can't think because I just read Deceased and Captain Atom. That's what you're thinking of.
Captain
I
Adam.
was like,
Yep,
you're not
Captain
far
Adam.
off with that name. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. Captain Adam. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Well, you said that guy
that's
who's
him.
all metal, and I was like, are you talking about Steel?
No. No. Wait. Who's that girl with the green fire and the green hair? I had a Superman comic and she was in it. It's a lot
Almost
of
sounds like you
characters.
might be talking about Enchantress.
You know what? I'm gonna say if we're going super against type, Chris Pratt should probably play. He probably could be a good Green Arrow, maybe. Maybe.
I mean, he could, but the thing is, we have to take his age into account for this too. He's like,
Yeah,
he's almost to his 50s, isn't he?
he almost is, and yeah. Well, Green Arrow
46.
is a Green Arrow's got the long mustache and the beard and all that. So he
Yeah,
definitely-
it is a lived-in DC
Gotta-
universe also.
I'm imagining it in my head now. You know what? I disagree with what I just said.
About
Yeah,
him playing
upon-
Green
upon-
Arrow.
Upon further in reflection, yeah. No, I don't think though. Maybe Martian Manhunter. I'm
No.
kidding. No.
You're gonna disrespect the only black member of the Justice League for the early days.
John
Yeah.
Johns. Yeah. I'm gonna totally do that. But yeah, all right. For now, I'll say Booster Gold, and we'll move off that.
I feel like Booster Gold is the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anybody did. We have any other questions? I haven't been looking at the chat for a minute.
Let's see. And Booster Gold was in it. They found Phil Luthor had hair in the comic. Yeah, no. Mostly just discussions on what we were talking about. But all right. Do you wanna wrap
Yeah, I think
this up?
we'll
or-
wrap that up right there. Thank you
Okay.
so much for joining us. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. We should have started the stream by saying that. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
If you're not subscribed already, hit subscribe. We got lots of great Superman content coming up. And we will
Yeah.
see you in the next time. Bye.
Thank you for joining. Bye.